Let me ask you something before we go any further. What position are you in when you fall asleep at night? On your side, on your stomach, or flat on your back, staring up at the ceiling? If you're a back sleeper, what I'm about to share with you might be the most important thing you hear all week. Because a landmark study found that 73% of Alzheimer's patients slept on their backs for more than 2 hours per night. 73%. 73% of Alzheimer's patients versus only 44% of cognitively healthy people slept on their back more than 2 hours per night. People with Parkinson's? 69% were back sleepers. Mild cognitive impairment? 61%. Now, I'm not saying your sleep position is going to give you Alzheimer's. That's not what this is. But when the numbers line up this clearly, when the research keeps pointing in the same direction, you owe it to yourself to understand why. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's happening in your brain while you sleep, why it matters so much after 60, and what one simple change tonight could do for your long-term brain health. I'm Dr. David Coleman, and if you're new here, welcome. I make videos for people over 50 who want real, science-backed health information they can actually use in their daily lives. No unnecessary jargon, no scare tactics, just the facts explained clearly by someone who genuinely cares about your health. Today, we're talking about one of the most overlooked topics in aging medicine, what your brain does while you sleep, and how the position your body is in during those hours may be either helping or quietly working against you. Here's what we're going to cover. First, I'll explain the brain's incredible built-in waste removal system, a system most people have never heard of. Then, we'll look at how sleeping on your back could be slowing that system down. We'll talk about the connection between back sleeping and sleep apnea, and why that matters for dementia risk. And I'll close with clear, practical steps you can take starting tonight. Let's go. I want you to picture something. It's 10:30 at night. You've had a full day. Maybe a little tired, maybe a little sore. You pull back the covers, climb into bed, and you settle in on your back. Arms at your sides, head straight on the pillow. It feels natural. It feels right. Maybe it's how you've slept for 40 or 50 years. And for years, doctors, including me, sometimes told patients that back sleeping was good for them. Better for spinal alignment, less facial pressure, less joint pain. And in some ways, that's still true for some people. But here's what we didn't fully understand until recently. What's going on inside your brain during those hours? And what that particular position may be doing to interfere with one of the most extraordinary and important processes in the human body. You see, most of us think of sleep as simply rest. You close your eyes, your body recharges, and you wake up in the morning feeling better than you did the night before. But sleep is far more active than that. While you're unconscious, your brain is doing something remarkable, something it can only do while you're asleep. It's running a full internal cleaning cycle, flushing out toxic waste products that have been building up all day long. And the position you're in while that cleaning happens, it turns out, may make a significant difference in how well the job gets done. If you're over 60, this matters more than ever, because the brain's ability to clean itself becomes less efficient as we age, and the margin for error gets smaller. So let's talk about exactly what's happening, starting with the system at the center of all of this. Let's start with some genuinely fascinating science, and I promise I'll explain every word. In 2012, researchers at the University of Rochester made a discovery that changed neuroscience forever. They found that the brain has its own dedicated waste removal system. They called it the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's internal garbage truck, running its route every single night while you sleep. Here's how it works. During the day, while you're thinking, working, talking, and living your life, your brain cells are constantly producing waste products, metabolic debris. And one of the most dangerous of these is a protein called Beta-Amyloid, the same protein that builds up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Now, during the day, your brain cells are packed tightly together. There isn't much room for fluid to flow between them. But when you fall into deep sleep, and this is the part that still amazes me, your brain cells actually shrink by approximately 60%. They physically get smaller, and that opens up channels between them. Channels that allow cerebrospinal fluid, a clear liquid that surrounds your brain and spinal cord, to flow through and wash all that toxic waste away. During deep sleep, brain cells shrink approximately 60%, opening channels for cerebrospinal fluid to flush out toxic waste. During waking hours, this cleaning system drops to just 10% efficiency. During the day, this cleaning system is running at roughly 10% of its nighttime capacity. It essentially goes offline while you're awake, because your brain is too busy doing everything else. Sleep isn't just rest, it's your brain's only real opportunity to clean house. And when that cleaning doesn't happen efficiently, night after night, the waste starts to pile up. So now the question becomes, why would your sleep position matter for that cleaning process? Great question. And here's the answer. Research from Stony Brook University, published in the Journal of Neuroscience, found that the glymphatic system works most efficiently when you're sleeping on your side. Compared to sleeping on your back or your stomach, side sleeping produced the most effective clearance of toxic waste from the brain. When you sleep on your back, there are two things working against you. First, the way blood flows from your brain back to your heart, what we call venous return, is slightly less efficient in that position. And since the glymphatic system works alongside the brain's blood vessels, anything that slows blood flow can also slow waste clearance. Second, and this is important, sleeping on your back tends to relax the muscles in your throat and airway. And for many people, especially after 60, that leads to snoring, airway obstruction, and ultimately, interrupted sleep. And here's what matters. The glymphatic system is most active during deep, slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage of sleep. If your sleep is being interrupted, you're not getting enough of that deep sleep. And if you're not getting enough deep sleep, your brain's cleaning system simply cannot do its job properly. Research shows glymphatic transport is most efficient in the lateral, side position, consistently outperforming back and stomach sleeping in brain waste clearance. Remember that protein I mentioned, Beta-Amyloid, the one strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease? A 2019 study found that side sleeping significantly enhanced the drainage of beta-amyloid from the brain compared to back sleeping. In other words, when you sleep on your side, your brain does a better job of clearing out the very protein most closely linked to Alzheimer's disease. And that 2019 study also found something that should get your attention. Sleeping more than 2 hours per night on your back was correlated with an increased risk of neurodegenerative disease, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Not just linked, correlated with increased risk. A 2019 study, sleeping more than 2 hours on your back per night was correlated with increased risk of neurodegenerative disease, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Now, 2 hours might sound like a lot, but think about this. If you spend just the first hour of sleep on your back before rolling over, that adds up quickly. And many habitual back sleepers stay in that position for far longer. Now let's talk about sleep apnea, because this is where the stakes get even higher. Sleep apnea is a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night. Some people stop breathing dozens, sometimes hundreds of times per hour, and most of them have absolutely no idea it's happening. They just wake up exhausted and wonder why. Here's the connection to back sleeping. Research shows that back sleeping, the supine position, accounts for 56 to 75% of regular obstructive sleep apnea cases. When you're on your back, gravity pulls the soft tissues of your throat downward, partially blocking your airway. That's what causes the snoring, the gasping, and the dangerous pauses in breathing. Back sleeping accounts for 56 to 75% of obstructive sleep apnea cases. Longitudinal studies link sleep apnea to a 70 to 85% increased risk of mild cognitive impairment and dementia. And here's the critical part. Longitudinal studies, meaning studies that follow people over many years, have linked obstructive sleep apnea to a 70 to 85% increased risk of mild cognitive impairment and dementia. Think about that. A 70 to 85% increase in risk, not from some exotic condition, from something that could be directly influenced by the position you're sleeping in tonight. Sleep apnea also makes the glymphatic system less efficient because it interrupts deep sleep, which, as we just discussed, is the only time that system fully activates. Every time your breathing stops and your brain jolts you partially awake, your cleaning cycle gets interrupted. The waste doesn't get flushed, and night after night, it accumulates. Here's something that stops most of my patients cold when I explain it to them. The accumulation of neurotoxins, those toxic waste products in the brain, doesn't begin right before you develop symptoms of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. According to research, it begins in midlife, and it can be building up for 15 to 20 years before any noticeable cognitive symptoms appear. Brain neurotoxin buildup begins in midlife, 15 to 20 years before the first cognitive symptoms of neurodegeneration appear. That means if you're 60 right now and you've been a back sleeper your whole adult life, the accumulation process may have been quietly happening since your 40s. This is not meant to alarm you, it's meant to motivate you. Because here's the flip side. If the damage starts early, so does the opportunity to protect yourself. And that 15 to 20 year window also means the changes you make now, starting tonight, could genuinely matter. The brain is not a fixed organ. It has plasticity. It has the ability to adapt. And improving your glymphatic function, even later in life, could help slow or reduce the accumulation of the very proteins linked to these diseases. Here's something I find genuinely fascinating, and it might surprise you. About 74% of the world's population naturally gravitates towards side sleeping in childhood. 74%. Babies do it instinctively. Children do it. Most young adults do it. 74% of the world's population naturally prefers side sleeping in childhood. Many adults gradually shift to back sleeping as they age, often without realizing it. So why do so many people end up as back sleepers later in life? A few reasons. Joint pain and arthritis can make it uncomfortable to stay on your side. A too firm or too soft mattress doesn't provide the support needed to stay comfortable in a lateral position. Old habits, or a bed partner, shift your sleeping preferences over the years. But here's what this data may be telling us. Your body may have evolved to sleep on its side for a reason, and the gradual drift away from that position as we age could be working against your brain's natural maintenance systems. Let me bring you back to those numbers I opened with, because I want to put them fully in context. A study presented at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference in 2024 examined hundreds of participants, people with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's spectrum disorders, mild cognitive impairment, and a control group with normal cognition. They used an in-home monitoring device worn on the forehead to track exactly how long each person spent sleeping on their back each night. The findings were striking. Among people with normal cognition, 44% slept on their back for more than 2 hours per night. Among people with mild cognitive impairment, that number jumped to 61%. Among those with Parkinson's spectrum disorders, 69%. And among those with Alzheimer's dementia, 73%. Now, this was an observational study. It does not prove that back sleeping causes these diseases. The researchers were careful to note that it's possible that early neurodegeneration itself changes how people sleep, not the other way around. But the pattern is consistent. It's been replicated across multiple studies, and the biological mechanism, the glymphatic connection, makes scientific sense. What the researchers called it was a relatively strong association. And in medicine, consistent associations that have a plausible biological explanation are exactly what we act on, even before final proof arrives. I want to be honest with you about something, and this is the part where I have to speak as a doctor who knows what actually happens in a standard appointment. Most physicians, myself included, for many years, never ask about sleep position. We ask how many hours you sleep. We ask if you snore. We might screen you for sleep apnea if there's a strong reason to. But the specific question of, which side are you sleeping on, almost never comes up. And here's what gets missed as a result. First, many people have mild positional sleep apnea that only occurs when they're on their back, and they never get diagnosed because it's not severe enough to trigger the standard tests. But that mild positional apnea is still disrupting their deep sleep, still interfering with their glymphatic function, still accumulating risk quietly, year after year. Second, the glymphatic system was only discovered in 2012. That means it wasn't even in most medical textbooks when many practicing physicians went through their training. The science is new. The clinical guidelines haven't caught up yet. But the research is growing, and it's pointing strongly in one direction. Third, we tend to focus on medications and diagnoses in medicine. We undervalue the power of sleep quality and sleep hygiene. But a study published in the journal Sleep Advances found that the pattern of supine, or back sleeping, was significantly more common in patients with every major neurodegenerative disorder studied. That's not something we can afford to keep overlooking. So if no one has ever talked to you about your sleep position, now someone has. All right. Let's talk about what you can actually do with all of this information, because knowledge without action doesn't help anyone. Here are 5 practical steps you can start on tonight, all backed by the research we've been discussing. 1. Start transitioning to side sleeping, especially your left side. Research suggests that left side sleeping may offer particular benefits for brain waste clearance and cardiovascular function. If you've never been a side sleeper, don't try to force a full switch on night 1. Start by propping a pillow behind your back to prevent rolling onto it. Or hug a body pillow in front of you. It makes staying on your side far more comfortable and natural. 1. Use a proper side sleeping pillow. One of the biggest reasons people drift back to sleeping on their back is neck and shoulder discomfort when sleeping on their side. A pillow specifically designed for side sleeping, one that fills the space between your ear and shoulder, keeps your spine aligned and dramatically improves comfort. This one investment can make all the difference. 1. Get screened for sleep apnea. If you snore regularly, wake up tired no matter how long you sleep, experience morning headaches, or find yourself dozing off during the day, please talk to your doctor about sleep apnea screening. Modern home sleep tests are simple and non-invasive. And remember, positional sleep apnea, the kind triggered specifically by back sleeping, is often easily managed just by changing your sleep position. You may not need a CPAP machine. You may simply need to stop sleeping on your back. 1. Protect your deep sleep. The glymphatic system is most active during deep, slow-wave sleep. Anything that disrupts that stage, alcohol before bed, irregular sleep schedules, blue light from screens late at night, unmanaged stress, is also indirectly interfering with your brain's cleaning cycle. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Keep a consistent sleep and wake time. Limit alcohol in the evening, and make your bedroom as dark and cool as comfortably possible. Both are proven to enhance deep sleep quality. 1. Be patient. Habit change takes time. Changing a sleep position you've had for decades isn't going to happen in one night, and that's okay. Research tells us that habit formation takes consistent repetition over several weeks. Start with the pillow behind your back trick, then add the side pillow. Track how you feel in the mornings. Give your body time to adjust. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistent improvement over time. Let me bring this all together for you. Your brain has an incredible built-in waste removal system called the glymphatic system. It only runs properly during deep sleep, and research suggests it works most efficiently when you're on your side. Backsleeping may slow that process, reducing the clearance of toxic proteins like Beta-Amyloid that are directly associated with Alzheimer's disease. Studies show that backsleeping worsens sleep apnea, which is itself linked to a 70 to 85% increased risk of cognitive decline. And the numbers are striking. 73% of Alzheimer's patients in one major study were backsleepers for more than 2 hours per night. None of this means backsleeping causes dementia, but the association is consistent. The biological explanation is plausible, and the solution is so simple and so low risk that there's really no good reason not to try it. Start tonight. Grab an extra pillow, put it behind your back. Try sleeping on your left side. See how you feel. Your brain has been working hard for you for 6 or 7 decades. Give it the best chance you can to clean itself properly. It deserves that. If this video was helpful to you, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content and take care of their health. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is a great time. Every week, I put out videos just like this one. Practical, honest health information designed specifically for people over 50. Leave me a comment below and let me know. Are you a backsleeper? Are you going to try switching positions? I read every single comment and I'd love to hear from you.